Hi there, this is Rachel Stone introducing transformational leadership, all elements of leadership, but especially transformational leadership, which includes learning to be a coach while you're a leader. All coaches are leaders, but not all leaders are coaches. And my mission is to help solve that. I hope you enjoy. I'm joined again by Rosanna Williams Wood, an associate at the Trusted Executive Team. We're talking about habit number 7, which is choosing to evangelize. A hot potato once more.
I'd like to speak from the personal point of view first, which is when I first came across John's model back in about 2017, 2018, and the word evangelize was actually a little bit jarring for me because I took that religious connotation from it. But actually, when you unpack it, that actually talked about that sort of emotion aspect and things like that, I did get it in that emotional sense. And I was really able to connect with that importance of passion and inspiration and things that really that word means. I'd encourage people to think about where their passion and inspiration lies and how they can lead other people in that as well.
Oh, that's really lovely. The way I explored it when I first got through the book, I did think at first, oh, that's interesting. That's a religious word, isn't it? And I took on board all of the context in the chapters. But then I really thought, well, my favourite movement is the transformational leadership movement. And in that, it's up to people in the organisation to understand a better vision, to be part of something bigger than the whole, and to move forward with inspiration. And I always love the definition of the word inspiration. Inspire was to inhale, but you breathe life into. So I always connect evangelize with inspiration in the way that you breathe life into a movement. I think it's a really big part of the habit. And I think one of the things that I find really interesting is that you cannot fake this. This is something that has to come from your core. And I like Connect the Work by Jim Collins, who can't fake genuine interest in your fellow co-workers. People could see through fakeness. And great, Jim Collins says, don't get passionate about something. Be passionate about something and get good at that. There's a subtle difference. You have to really truly feel it in order to move. And leadership is about hearts and minds, not just about things and processes and systems and transactional things. It's more transformational. So I feel quite excited talking about this. It's something that's close to my heart. Transforming people takes spirit. You need to capture their spirit and align it with a common thing between the two of you. So what are the challenges you think for leaders when they are choosing this habit?
The work to check in with themselves on their own passions, purpose, beliefs. They can step out of this a little bit and encourage their people to step out of this as well. And I'll give you an example to that. So if we look at a lot of organizations now that are using engagement surveys, not to just measure how their people feel, but they're also asking that key question as whether you would advocate this business to either another member of staff or a potential customer or client. And so there is beginning to be hard measurements on this as well. And I'd encourage leaders, if they're looking at that measurement and it's not where they'd want it to be, it probably is this purpose and passion, this emotive connection that somewhere is not really playing out to the population. And as you say, that cannot be faked. So being able to do some of that. Yes, there'll be intellectual work. I always talk about what's going on above the head, what's going on below the neck. Where is that sense of connection to your proposition, to your clients, to your staff? And I think there are certain leaders we can almost bring to mind that embody this. And whether you like Richard Branson or not, and some people don't, there is a certain energy around him that actually creates some of that fellowship. And it is to do with, in his case, probably some hope, some passion, a little bit of anti-establishment and things like that. But that is about himself being a personality and attitude type brand. I'd almost ask leaders, what would you really want other people to be saying about you, your leadership style, your organisation? Because that will usually tell you what you need to be evangelising about and promoting amongst your people. So it's more about that inner promotion than probably the external piece. The external piece will follow if the vast majority of people feel the same. And if you've got a critical mass of people who feel the same on the direction of travel and have got hope, inspiration, optimism, then actually other people start to fall in line. And if that isn't where they want to be, they will self-select.
I think what you've just described perfectly there is creating a movement. For example, I'm a big fan of the Beatport movement, like-minded individuals gathering momentum, feeling that sense of shared purpose, moving things forward. So I think what you've just described, a leader within their organisation and the leadership team need to create a movement of shared beliefs that is about something bigger and better. We talk about Elon Musk. He didn't say, I want to drive this car. He was saying, let's reinvent transport. A bit like the chap who invented Sony years ago. It's in Good to Great, actually, where they're saying that after the war, when Japan was flattened, and he turned up with his $1,800 and 3 members of his team, and he had some engineering skills. And he didn't just say, what can we make here? He took this passion that was a movement. I want to put Japan back on the map. And he created the movement, which became Sony, out of a desire to take something from here to there. You don't communicate it. And evangelical is about spreading the good news. And most evangelical people have been known as religious leaders. But in this context, when we're talking about organisational culture, we talk a bit of spreading the good news of what's better in the future. And when you come with me, when you come on this journey, can we make things happen? One interaction between another human being, and then stuff gets done.
There's a connectivity to all of these pieces. Often organisations will look at their vision and mission, and it also talks to that delivery piece, obviously, but it also talks about that consistency as well as how do you choose to evangelise in that mission and vision piece. And we know if it is to be believed that we're using millennials, they want more purpose, they're more attracted to, say, the B Corps and organisations like that. I don't think that has ever been any different in any other generation, actually. I just think there is now a platform for people to be more vocal on this, spreading good news. There is a void being filled right now on various social network platforms. If you think about Instagram, that tends to be good news and uplifting and people actually selling their most inspirational self. And I'd say that's a way of evangelizing. It feels like it's meeting some emotional need, especially where we've got division, we've got bad news stories, and then there is that level of hope. And I think that's really, for me, where the evangelization piece works as well. But it can also be, how are you promoting an individual? How are you promoting their hope? How are you promoting their opportunity? We can do it in that sense as well.
Bring in the questions that are on the self-assessment tool, which is freely available on the trustedexecutive.com. And we really want people to get involved and start talking about these habits. We want to evangelise. That's the purpose of this series. But I wanted to say that these 3 questions go from the scale of never to always in gradual increments upwards. If you evangelise, how would you measure yourself? For example, answering this question. At work, I promote a passionate and inspiring vision. When you walk in a room, what comes with you? What do you fill a room with? Do you come in with hope, opportunity, gratitude, expectations, clearly defined standards? Do you come in with a positive energy? And I think if the minute you come in, you light up a room, then you're evangelizing without even realizing it because your energy exudes out of every pore of you. How would you grade yourself on that? The next one is, I am resilient to bounce back quickly from disappointments. We have these moments in business where things just don't go to plan. And if you are that person that can shine a light on what is possible, but what can we do? And what is the opportunity here? Then you will create a movement forward. And then finally, at work, it is clear to others that I love what I do. I remember going networking one morning and I was in a room full of business owners. The chap stood up and was talking about his electrical firm. Afterwards, I had to provide some feedback. I took him to one side and I said, if you don't mind me saying, I am a coach and I just want to say to you that if you don't love your business, why would anybody else choose to love it too? When you spoke, despair came out of you. You must be having a really hard time. I said, no, I've just done this so many times. I don't really enjoy doing it anymore. Anyway, a few months passed. We did do some work together. and he found the joy in his work. I'm not saying that was down to me. We had a couple of conversations, but what I'm saying was he didn't perceive that he needed to be evangelical about his own business so that other people might pick up some of that energy. They were definitely not picking up that energy.
Hopefully you're in an organisation that is going in the direction that you want to go, and depending whether you're a business leader employed or you're an owner manager, that can be very different. There can sometimes be that owner manager really loves what they're doing, so much so they're so vested in it, they potentially feel that they have to do everything or everything has to be done to that. But then there are certain leaders in certain organisations at certain times, but loving you do in the 40 to 60 hours a week you're going to work is absolutely essential. And that's why I probably come back to it. If you wanted somebody to be saying something about your organisation in a coffee shop or a pub, pick your setting, then what would you want them to say? And that will get you back to your own love for what you do.
This is what this whole series is about. How do we get back to that place where we love leadership, driven by our thoughts, and our thoughts can be leading us to make choices, and our habits are a series of choices that we make every day. If we can choose to deliver, we can choose to be open, we can choose to be kind, we can choose to be brave, then hopefully the leadership will fall out of that in a way that we absolutely love what we do every day. And I think evangelizing about others and shining the spotlight on great bits of work. We train leaders how to provide feedback every single session I start with any training. Okay, what's gone well? Even better. Let's review what's happened and let's shine the light on it. Because evangelizing, it's about where's the great stuff we can focus on to do some learning. We don't evangelize about our own self. We evangelize about the organisation. We're that humble leader. We're looking at trying to give credit where it's due for other people all the time. And I think that's connected very much to this habit.
That point about evangelising about the organisation as a whole, that becomes into the we rather than the I leader.
Absolutely.
It comes into that benevolence. It comes into that sense that we're all part of the machine that delivers whatever it is, our purpose, our vision, our mission. And it is important that it's in that benevolent space, especially when we connect it to the triple bottom line of profits, planet and people. It very much is in that people and potentially planet piece as well, if we're all taking a level of responsibility. In terms of that appreciation of all the good things we've done and maybe one opportunity for improvement, it is actually in that resilience point. If you're able to have a bank of all these good news stories, when we need to tap into that resilience bank, it's there.
I always say reviewing your success gives you the fuel to look at your mistakes. And people are very prone, I think we're hardwired, in fact, to look for the negatives. We really are hardwired to think about what's gone wrong because we're trying to perceive threats all the time. But we have to overcome that, especially as a leader. We have to have our own resilience as leaders, but we have to help other people have their own resilience. What can you learn from this experience? I think every organisation does need to celebrate their wins. And the opposite of benevolence, let's think about it, malevolence. Years ago, as I think I mentioned before in another one of these episodes, when something went wrong, it took months before it ever came out, if anybody ever did find out what happened. Within 3 seconds of happening now, it's all over the news, all over Instagram, it's all over the feeds of everything. So you can't avoid doing the right thing in the right way because you will get found out. So it's just as well to learn these habits.
To put a strap line under it, the Evangelise is very much about the movement towards something, the vision and mission. And yes, we might present to shareholders or external stakeholders in a certain way, but this has always felt deeply personal. And that's why I'm pleased to see it under the benevolence.
It's in the core, isn't it? And it's a great thing to tap into to create energy to move forward. What do I care about? What can I say that will lift other people up? Thoroughly enjoyed that today. Thank you so much.